I'm very grateful, because trading has honestly given me so much freedom. You know, I don't really respond to anybody. I can do whatever I want. I was able to start another business because of trading, and I do what I want pretty much. So the thing is, though, no one really tells you what trading takes away from you. Like, trading is a blessing, but it also comes with a couple of downsides. And honestly, some days I question if it was worth it, because it's not easy to be a day trader and running your own business and doing this, doing that, yada, yada, yada. Let's talk about the fantasy, right? The fantasy, right? Everybody wants to work for themselves. Nobody wants to have a 9 to 5 anymore. Like, realistically, everybody wants to have like this laptop lifestyle and like move to some fucking country, move to Bali, move to wherever the shit, you know what I mean? Like, just realistically, it's a fantasy, right? They want their own independence. There's this moment where you think like, I thought I made it, type of thing. So let's talk about the reality of being your own boss, doing whatever you want, when you want, because you want. Don't get me wrong, I love it. I really like my life. I'm very grateful. Trading is not my only income source. I have another business, as I said, and I make money, so I'm chilling, right? But anyway, let's talk about this real quick. Everybody wants to be their own boss. What does that come with? Okay. It's lonely. It's very, very lonely. It is not something that is easy to deal with. You have, especially trading, there's no coworkers. It's an isolated routine. There's a lot of mental pressure. So your income is quite literally your performance. A lot of people tend to think that, especially when it comes to trading, that, what you do outside of trading doesn't matter, right? Like, your behaviors outside of trading is irrelevant to what's going on inside of the charts. And I don't know why people say that, because your behavior is completely super relevant to what's going on in the charts, and you will actually perform badly if you are not in your best mental, we could say, right? So there's a lot of like emotional volatility with trading, okay? Because your wins and your losses can affect your mental quite a lot, especially if it's something that you just depend on completely. I don't know why. I mean, I do kind of know why, but it's difficult if trading is your only source of income, because when you take a loss, that kind of plays with you a little bit. It's not an easy career to choose. So let's talk about these couple of things, right? So let's talk about the hidden costs of trading, because that's what this channel is really based about, okay? Your mental health, your mental costs. Let's talk about that first. For me, at the beginning, I was always thinking of the markets, or even when I'm not trading, like, when I'm doing something or whatever, just regular daily life activities, I'm still thinking of trading to a certain extent. I'm thinking about the New York Open, I'm thinking about the New York close. I'm thinking about, am I going to get an opportunity today? I'm thinking about how much I'm going to make today. How am I going to react if I do take a loss? Like, I'm mentally preparing myself for all of these scenarios and situations, so like I don't crash out later. Realistically, like, it's definitely not an easy thing to be mentally dealing with, like, every single day. It's very difficult to switch off from something like this. And sometimes when you are in drawdown, so like if your account takes a couple of losses, it can be a bit anxiety inducing. I'll be honest with you, it's not that easy to deal with. You also have lifestyle cost, okay? So it's an irregular schedule, quite literally. Sometimes you make money, sometimes you don't make money, sometimes you lose money, and that's just the reality of trading. You miss a normal life structure. So like, it's not like you can just go to work, come back, have a chat with the lads, whatever. It's not, a lot of my friends, they work regular 9 to 5. I can't just meet up with them because New York Open is at 2:30. New York PM session here is at 5:30. So, you either trade or you don't trade and you go out or whatever. But obviously there's good things to that, where you can obviously, if you've had a good week or a good month, you can just take the week off or whatever, you know. So there's also positives that I will get into now in a couple of minutes. And let's talk about the emotional cost, the thing that I don't think a lot of people talk about or aren't too real about it. You know, sometimes your self-worth can actually be tied to your profit and loss factor. So if I've had like a bad week, you know, I might feel a bit shit for the weekend, you know, and like that's normal, because us as humans, you know, we're not perfect. We are emotional beings to a certain extent, you know, and sometimes it can really weigh you down, especially if you've had a tough week, or if you've had a really good week. You might be on this like super fucking high and you feel like you're the king of the world, but that is also dangerous. That's probably more dangerous than taking a loss and swallowing the loss, you know. And that's what I would call probably imposter syndrome, you know, and the sacrifices to get to where you are, you know, like obviously I've taken some nice payouts, but there's been a lot of sacrifices. I've missed a lot of birthdays, a lot of special occasions. You know, I didn't celebrate my birthday for like 5 years because I didn't feel like I was worthy of being celebrated. Like it's crazy. It's such a crazy ride, you know? And you go through this phase where like you're literally obsessed, you know, you're obsessed in like making it work. And that is something that's not easy to go through, if I'm fully honest with you, you know? Would I still choose trading? Yes. Over 1,000 lifetimes, I would still choose this career over any other career, you know? But it's not for the reasons I thought, you know? Trading, look, the freedom is real, right? So like being able to do whatever you want, you know, because you want, yada, 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 that's real, right? Don't get me wrong, but it's earned through pressure, right? It's not earned through hard work, and it's not earned through, you know, because most jobs, you work hard, your pay goes up. It's not like that in trading whatsoever. It's a pressure-based business. And if you trade, you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that it's through pressure, you know. It's not like the usual escape life, you know. It's trade one set of problems for the other, really, more than anything. But if you are learning how to trade and you want to skip a lot of these problems, I put everything that I learned into a program below. Link is in the description. Look, trading didn't just give me freedom. It forced me to face myself. It forced me to face my ego. It forced me to just fix my life, because I was going through a very tough time, and it just forces you to be better and face yourself. If you are getting into trading for the freedom, just make sure you know what that actually entails, because it might be or it might not be for you. You know, it's simple as that. And I love trading. I love what I do, you know, but I think, you know, when getting into something, it's important to kind of really know what you should, you know, what you're actually getting into. When I started trading, I used to have this mindset of like, if I'm trading, I can't have a 9-to-5. Like, that's just not possible, right? And I think that's a really toxic and negative mindset. And I think if you are trading, you probably should, like, I think completely the opposite now. You should have a 9-to-5 if you're learning how to trade or even beginning to trade, you know, because trading is very not easy. It's a lot of pressure, and it's a pressure that a lot of people can't handle, and that's normal. But if you have a 9-to-5, it makes it easier for you, for your mentality, for your trading. You'll notice your trading will probably improve because you're not depending on that trade to win or lose to eat, you know. So that's super, like, something you got to think about, you know. But regardless, in the end, I made money through trading. I've made some good money through trading, and I lost my ego, like, if I'm honest with you, because I learned and I figured out what the reality of it is. And it's not always like, it's smoke and mirrors, you know what I mean? Like, it's smoke and mirrors. You got to look at yourself and see where you are, your own reflection, see if this is something that you can do or not, you know. Is it worth it? 1,000%. I wouldn't change anything about it. And yeah, I just wanted to hop on here and talk to you guys about that. If you guys want the best prop firm deals, code NQW. Check the comments below for the best prop firm deals. Peace out.